we've got all the finance committee and 3 extra JPs for 7 of us. We've got 2 elected officials, Miss Peggy and Miss Janice, with us today. We're getting really close to wrapping up. Today we've got Judge Wilson's budget, court automation, coroner, Osceola District Court, Blytheville District Court, and the road budget. The biggest one is the road budget, and the judge told me that he and Tony were working on this the other day, so I'm assuming this has had the judge's finger on it. Kelly, you know any different?
Tony and the judge brought me their work, and that's where the number came from.
Just glancing through it, he didn't make the changes that I thought he would make. He has upped his uniform budget in the road department from $14,000 to $28,000, but he's mentioned this to us 2 or 3 times. The uniforms they have are not meeting safety standards, and he's going to those high visibility, reflector type uniforms.
Now, is that something that, are they going to do what the sheriff's doing, or are they going to do the Centos thing too, or is that just something completely different?
Kelly, do you know?
I think they're going, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I know they talked about the landfill doing the Centos thing, and I think that's probably true here too.
I think it probably is, Molly. He's actually more adamant about the road department having them than he really was the landfill so much, because they are out on the roads.
No, I agree.
It becomes a safety issue. He's left his asphalt budget at $200,000. Wasn't sure what he'd do there, and he went ahead and carried the culverts across to $50,000. His gravel, dirt, slag, etc., he carried straight across at $250,000. He called me the other day, guys, and he said he was wanting to purchase 300 loads. I wish he was here to talk about it a little bit. He was wanting to purchase 300 loads of red clay gravel. They felt like they had enough time in the weather time frame going into the winter to get out 200 of those, and that would leave him with 100 loads carryover to start the spring with, before the weather actually got good enough to pick up more gravel. It was going to cost him about $75,000, $76,000, and that's just about what he had left in that gravel budget. But of course, he can move things around within the line items, and the thing that I remarked to him when he was telling me about it was, he wasn't asking my permission, he just kind of let me know what's going on. And I told him he's the first judge that I've worked with that really spent the gravel budget on gravel, bought gravel. We've had some conservative judges in the past that would be afraid to overspend themselves, and you're always glad for conservatism, but I don't think our road department's the place to be conservative when it comes to road materials. We have 1,100 miles of roads in county roads, 1,100 miles of county roads in Mississippi County that we're mandated to maintain. And it's hard to maintain them when we save money in our road materials budget. The one that really did surprise me a little bit, I thought he might reduce his bridges and steel budget a little bit. I thought he might move it somewhere else, but he carried it over at $500,000. Same on the machinery and equipment, grader blades at $30,000.
Because didn't he say we would not be able to do the bridges and
We don't have the crews.
the steel, and
Yeah.
so
But now he could use that
Just
if he
in the
wanted to
materials.
subcontract, hire somebody else to build the bridge. So maybe that's what he's thinking. We're going to have to do some bridge work, whether we do the work or somebody else does. So he's probably just left that in there. Kelly, any thoughts on that? Huh?
He didn't explain any of that to me, so.
I bet that's what he's thinking, though, because we do have some bridges to do some work on. I think they've got 4 targeted. If you look at the total on supplies and et cetera, it's just almost a mirror image of this year's budget. He has put in $15,000 on the communications and radio. I think he's aiming to up their communications capabilities in that department. And Kelly, didn't you bump up the equipment lease portion of it?
Well, there's a mistake in there that I need to let everybody know about. He just carried it straight across. He and Tony carried it straight across, but there were some changes. There were 2 new graders, and those were a little bit more expensive. And then I accidentally added in a tractor lease that really was not roads. It should have just, it was landfill. So I recalculated it to $227,859, but I took that tractor back out, and it should be $189,523. So it's just a little bit more than 2019 budget due to the graders.
So we need to mark that to 189,523?
Yes.
Okay.
We could just leave the tractor in there. Let her
So says the landfill chairman.
go. Wouldn't have to change all the numbers.
On the last page, I had a question. Transfer to county general. Most of those transfers involve salaries to various individuals based on salary splits, and y'all have lowered it.
Well, yes, this goes back to what we talked about that day that we had a meeting about the financial management office.
That's correct, yeah.
The way the ordinance reads, when we pay closer attention to it, it looks like it only includes a third of the financial management salaries. Last year, that 2019 amount included supplies and all the cost of the office instead of the salaries. So we changed it back to just a third of the salaries.
Okay. So, you know, to be such a large budget, over $3 million, the end result without raises or anything is $3,565,935. So for a $3.5 million budget, very little changes. You know, I should have asked before we got started, any more news on insurance, Kelly?
I have not heard anything, but I really don't expect to until first week in November, probably. That's what they're telling me. Is
We
that
can't
they,
predict.
the companies aren't going to want to give them a solid number until we get about 60 days out.
Okay. Anything that we need to note on salaries or anything, you provided those to us?
The salaries were, there's been a couple of slots added this year for roads. So, that changed the salaries from last year to this year, but now there's not anything major.
Anybody got any comments or possible questions of Kelly?
You mentioned spending quite a bit of money on roads. What else would we spend roads? That much money on?
Three of the largest budgets that we have. There's 2 of them under the judge. The road department at $3.5 million, and the landfill budget at, what's y'all's budget?
3.2, something like that.
Yeah. And then the third budget in that group would be under the county sheriff. And if you put his 2 budgets together, which would be the sheriff's department and the county jail, they're both around $3 million each also. So that's our biggest budgets: landfill, road department, sheriff's department, and jail. The sheriff's department in itself has more employees for salaries and stuff than any other department in the county. Good question, though. Guys, looking at these other budgets, these are really small. Shouldn't take but just a second. Kelly's last email, Judge Wilson, she had up at the top. Needed to bump his phone up just a little bit. In fact, a lot of them should have done that probably. But other than that, it's virtually straight across. You know, in all these judges' budgets, there's 11, will be 12 in 2020. All the expenses are shared between the 6 counties based on caseloads within the county. Don't we turn these expenses in and then get a little bit back, but then we pay back on the other judges also?
Oh, so it'll be, so we, then it's about all 12 judges in the, well, 11 right now. I guess.
We've got 9, we got 6 counties, 9 courthouses in the 2nd Judicial District. Up until this year, we've had 11 circuit judges. For 2020, there will be 12. They're adding 1. So Jonesboro coordinates. They have a case coordinator over there that everybody sends the residential judges, whoever, like we've got Judge Wilson and Judge Ritchie.
Mm-hmm.
We'll fund their offices because they're in this county, but then we send our bills over there. The other counties do the same with the judges that reside in their counties. Then they take that, and it's not based on population, it's based on caseload. Caseload by the courthouse. So
Makes sense.
here in Mississippi County, we've got approximately 3,600 cases. Craighead County has 6,700 cases. And they take all 6 of the counties and divide it up based on their caseload, and then we pay our proportionate share, but then we get our proportionate share back on the 2 judges that we have. About the fairest way to do it. Court automation fund. Kelly, is that what's the deal there? The 22,000 in this year's budget and the 2,000 in next year's?
Well, we originally started with 2,000, and then we added 20 to it. And that was what the judges agreed to pay on the cameras.
Yep.
So I just, I didn't include anything extra. I
That
just,
was one time.
yeah. So I just went with the $2,000 like it was last year. The internet was bumped up a little bit, but then the rest of it was the same.
Peggy, you know how much what's their balance? Do you have that by any chance in that court automation fund at the moment?
20,190.
20,190 fund balance currently in this, but now we cannot spend that without the approval of the circuit judges. We can't just budget it. Now, if we put in a request like we did with the camera security system, then they can agree or not agree to help us with stuff like that. Usually if it's well-intentioned and fits the purpose, they'll almost always agree with us. But it's hard to budget, for individual items like that. Along the court system, we're going to lose, after this election, we'll be losing Judge Ralph Wilson. He's retiring. We'll only have 1 circuit judge out of 12 that resides here in Mississippi County. And Judge Ralph Wilson has also been, they have a kind of a head judge of the group. He's the administrative judge. Judge Ralph Wilson has been the administrative judge for the last few years for the 2nd Judicial. So that's kind of, it's not a huge loss, but it is a loss for Mississippi County. I hate to lose Judge Ralph. He's been a good public servant and a great asset for Mississippi County. Coroner's budget. The $30,000 expenditure in capital outlay where we bought him his van this past year, that kind of caught him up on that deal. Boy, that was badly needed, and I know they've got to love it. But everything else just carrying straight across. This is one of the departments that's kind of been treated like a stepchild for years, and we just needed to kind of upgrade. And I've been glad that we've been able to include the coroner in our county elected official raises.
Did we get him a fuel, oil, and grease card, credit card?
Did we, Kelly? We did?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, we did. I'm sorry.
Then we've got the district courts. Judge Betterton, with Osceola District Court, sent a letter to Mayor Sally Wilson and Judge John Allen Nelson. Dear Mayor Wilson and Judge Nelson, please find the proposed 2020 budget proposals for the Osceola District Court, which provides for a 3% salary increase for the court clerks. The remainder of the budget for operating expenses stays the same as the prior budget year. If you have any questions, please let me know. Kelly, any comments on the district court?
Well, you know, in his proposed budget, he's including operating expenses, which we don't pay.
Right.
But no, it's carried straight over except for, those extra things. And then I did include a 3% raise.
Okay. We usually just match what the city of Osceola will match.
So that's what I was gonna ask, so is it a 50-50 split?
No.
So, or how does that work?
Well, it's 50-50. What we've agreed to pay is 50% of clerk salaries and their social security and Medicare.
Okay.
And that's it, except for what else is on here, like there's a telephone, and the Metro internet. We did pay that. The rest of it is just, like I said, the 50% of the salary and social security and Medicare, and then our portion for the judge.
The state law actually is very explicit about how it can be done. Now, we can do more. You can always do more, but it gives minimums that we have to meet, and we've been meeting the exact same requirements for both Osceola and Blytheville. We try to treat them exactly the same.
Okay.
Same thing for Chickasaw District, except we haven't heard anything out of Blytheville to know anything about any salary changes or anything, and it's just come straight across. If they let us know something in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll make adjustments. Shouldn't be very much.
Do they have basically the same number of assistants or whatever?
Yes,
Deputies or whatever they call them?
but we only have to pay for so much. The other stuff, have you heard anything from Darrell with juvenile?
I tried to call him today, and I was worried that he didn't know where we were meeting, but he didn't answer, so I don't know if he was not able to come.
The budgets that we don't have, that are in front of us, are pretty nominal, just like the ones we just went through today. Voting safety, drug court, circuit judges, county general transfers, economic development, insurance account, prosecuting attorney. You heard anything out of them?
I asked Sarah not too long ago, and she said that she would look at it, get back with me. I just need to remind her probably.
The reappraisal group, which is straight across, the county judge. You anticipate any? You'll be probably doing the most of that, I imagine, or will you?
I haven't, you know, I just carried everything across like it was, and we brought it that day, but he didn't get a chance to
really look at it?
Right. Well, he wasn't here that day, and I haven't given it to him since then, but.
For most of the budgets that he actually controls, his remarks have pretty much been, it's been working well this year, you know,
Right.
and we've tried to give him every opportunity if he wants to make changes, and we can always make adjustments through the year.
Yeah.
But the juvenile department budgets, we don't have those. So, in looking at all these budgets, the big question mark is insurance. And then the second question mark that needs to follow right behind that are raises. We have 200, just a little bit over 200 employees. So, in the past 3 years that we've tried to give raises, there's been very little difference in total dollar amounts between a cost of living 3% raise and a straight across the board raise of $1,000 with $1,500 for the elected officials. Either way, it normally costs us about $220,000 to give raises, whether it's 3% or $1,000 across the board, about $220,000. We did more than that last year. and went 1,500 across the board, which cost us $300,000. And then we gave a bonus too, which we're not even, I don't think anybody's even wanting to entertain or discuss that at all this year. But last year, employee benefits, right at, between the raises and the bonuses at Thanksgiving, amounted to $500,000. And our question will have to be, what's sustainable in the long run? Because when we give raises, it's from now on. Or when the cost of insurance goes up, it's from now on. It's not just a one-time thing, so the costs go up. So the $300,000 raises that we gave last year carry over into next year and into the next year, and the same thing will happen with what we do this year. At a 12% increase on our insurance, we're looking at a little over, right at $1,000 an employee there also. So we're looking at over $200,000 in potential insurance increases. Then if we want to talk raises, a little over $200,000, which would raise our overall budget $400,000 if we try to do both for 2020, and then for every year thereafter. I think what we really need to do is let Kelly put all these expenditures together, look at them against our revenues, anticipated revenues. Now, be honest with you, we can make the budget. I'm not worried about that. 8-10 years ago, we couldn't make budget because we had no reserves. We were broke. We can only budget 90% of anticipated revenues. 8 years ago, that's all we had, was 90% of anticipated revenues with nothing else to add in. This year, we've got over $3 million in revenues that we have finally managed to build back up. So we can make budget, but I don't think we ever ought to over budget, over anticipated revenues. It concerns me what happens on down the future. So I'd really like for us to take our expenditures, let Kelly kind of put them together. She's got some adjustments to make in some of them. Then stack them up against our revenues and look at that. And then make a collective decision of what can we afford. I want to give everything we can and not a penny more. But we've got to be able to afford it not just this next year, but every year after that. So that's just my thoughts. What do y'all think?
With ladies who had such a significant role in the financial portion, what do you think about that?
We were unable to give raises for 4 or 5 years. We bolstered the employee package with bonuses because when you give a bonus, that's not a promise for next year. If you can afford a bonus today, you just pay the bonus and you don't worry about next year. Let next year worry about next year. So we gave bonuses as we could when we couldn't expect to give raises. But in the long term, we need to give raises and keep up as much as we can. We have done 3 years now, 3 consecutive years of good raises, what I consider good raises. And we have our Chase Out comparative program that compares us to other entities, counties and cities, even private industries around us. And 4 years ago, we were lagging. We were on the bottom end of all the comparisons. But with these last 3 years of raises, we've moved ourselves more to the middle of the pack so that most 90% of our employees are now in that mid-section, either in second or third quartile. I don't know that Mississippi County will ever be rich enough to be the leader in pay, but we don't want to be the bottom. I feel comfortable middle of the pack, and we're there today. Today we're in the middle of the pack. If we don't continue to give something as we go along, we'll slowly fall back down to the bottom. So
Well, and we did raise some people already this year that were kind of in the bottom,
Mhm.
right? So what was that, was that total, like, around 20,000, is that what it, something like that?
Yeah.
So,
We're doing much, much better than we were 4 or 5 years ago in relation to our employee compensation package. But guys, we got to keep in mind, our employee compensation today, our insurance today, $9,724 per employee, and we're paying that on what, 210 employees, Kelly?
A little bit less, around 190, 195. It varies every month.
Real close to 200 employees that we're paying $9,724 a year on. A 10% increase is $1,000. It's going to push us to right at $11,000 of insurance per employee if we pick up that increase. $11,000. So a $30,000 employee is getting, just with insurance, a $41,000 package. Then we also pay, of course, Social Security, Medicare, retirement. That's another biggie.
well, and some people aren't even at 30,000, some people are still in the 20s, so you
Well,
think about it like that.
at
it's
$20,000, they're still getting that
I mean, that's what I'm saying, I mean, that's a huge percentage. I mean, that is
$11,000 insurance package,
That's a giant benefit.
plus retirement and benefits. Yeah.
Michael, when I first came on 4.5 years ago, I did a little calculations. We were spending $1.51 for every dollar in salary. So the benefits were running dollar was 51.
30%,
Now-
33%.
This year, it's $1.64.
Really?
It's gone up 13 cents over 4.5 years. So it's $1.64 for every dollar we spend in salary. The benefits cost us 64 cents.
Because we keep picking it up for the employee.
Well, and the insurance goes up and everything else has gone up too.
I just think I just wanted to give y'all some food for thought. And so I leave town Wednesday. I'll be back the 2nd. Monday the 3rd. I'd like to just give Kelly next week breather. Let her put all this stuff together, including these last few. But go ahead and let her include them in as she gets them in. And we can either get together Monday the 4th or Tuesday the 5th, whatever y'all prefer. And then put them all together, quickly review a few that are left, and then look at the overall. Our regular quorum court meeting for November is the 26th. That's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So we can look at everything on the 4th, Monday the 4th, make decisions maybe, but if we feel like we need another week, we could carry it to the 11th if we needed to. And looking at these benefit packages and stuff. And then at least by the 11th, make decisions, put the budget to bed, and pass it on the 26th. Now, that's what I'd like to see. Kelly, thoughts?
That sounds good. I just fear that by the 4th, I won't have solid insurance numbers. That's the only thing that I can think of that may.
We may just have to go with it, or we may have to just put it off to that 11th and see if we need to do it again. Y'all got thoughts? I mean,
Sounds fine.
this is just an opinion. It's just one.
I think you got to have a timetable. I think it sounds great.
I'm anxious to see the insurance. That will determine which way we go.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So,
That's
You
the
know,
big.
there's an old saying that says it's not broke, not fix it. And, what's broke?
Well, I don't know if anything broken. I think it's just a matter of, like it is in everywhere else in life, it's just inflation and everything you touch almost. And you have to bring it along. We're fortunate that our revenue is holding
That's
up
right.
as well as it is,
That's right.
considering.
If you do the numbers on it, if you give a 12% increase, it's almost $100,000 a year rating our budget.
Well, you think, I mean, yeah, you continue to think about that. Like you said, this year's good, and probably next year, but if you continue that cycle, you know, and the revenues are simply holding, eventually it's gonna catch up with us.
You know, our revenues are up from what they were 3 years ago, up from what they were 2 years ago, but what we're seeing finally is the payback from our economic
You're right.
development
No,
tax.
you're right.
That's what's saving us. Because if you look at personal things and everything, we're losing population, which means our tax base on a personal basis, but our industrial tax base is what's saving us now.
It's saving us in the pilot agreements and the state changing the law to where we can't give away more than 65%, we're having to keep 35%. And as far as increase in revenues, if you look at the expansion that's going on out right now, that's gonna help in the future. So,
I think what you outlined on track, my personal opinion, once Kelly gets all this and we see where our revenue and what our expenditures are gonna be, then I think it's just a matter of that the court will have to decide how much can we divert to increases. And then you have to decide, is it gonna go to insurance, is it gonna go to raises, or how it's gonna go. But I think there's a number there that we have to stay within.
we gotta look at the total dollars spent.
Right.
Any other? What's our CG balance, Peggy? We got $1 million? Or have we fallen back down again?
Yeah, it's 1.1 today, but, you know, we have payroll come out of that, and then the jail is in the red, so by the time payroll comes out and we transfer to jail, it's gonna be really, I mean, it's just barely gonna be $1 million.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
What about our new election equipment? You want to talk about it at all? Okay, I'm not gonna ask you to.
No, we should come on and talk about it.
Oh, it's coming right along. I was gigging her just a little bit because she and I talked about it the other day. We're gonna have to pay some. We're not gonna have to pay near what we thought we were last year, but it is still gonna cost us a little bit of money. But we've got it in the budget and we're gonna be okay with that, so. Anything from you, Miss Peggy?
We did get quite a bit of pilot money today from the city of Lava from the Corps.
That's what I was gonna ask you about. What about our plum point money that comes from the city of Osceola? We've got nothing there yet. Do we need to touch base with them, or do you think just wait it out this month and see, or, you know, it's due in October for us too. And remember, it's 2 payments.
I don't think we ought to wait it out.
Don't think we ought to wait it.
No,
You know, that's the way it got lost last
She's too
time.
behind.
Mhm.
Yeah, got it mayor,
And truly, Dickey had changed finance directors down there 2 or 3 times in a 12, 18-month period. And that's the way it got dropped the last time. And it's about $186,000 a payment. And they missed like 3 years of payments or 4. And so the agreement we've got is that they'll make the current year's payment plus 1 more. So, you know, they'll owe us almost $370,000 that we should be getting in pretty soon.
That 186,000 might cover the insurance.
Does that doesn't have to go through the collector's office and all that? Doesn't that just come straight into you and then you can?
Yeah, last year, I'm trying to think if it came here, if it came to the city of Osceola.
Now the payment goes to the city of Osceola,
Yeah.
and then they have to pay us, and that's how our portion got dropped.
We may just need to contact,
Mayor's office.
yeah,
And
see if we can get some help from her.
but I guess my question is, we don't have to skip through Susan and go through all that. It comes straight to the treasurer's office, and then if we get $360,000, does all of that go into county general?
It depends on what the agreement says.
I think it all goes into county general, if I'm not mistaken. That kind of helped us last time.
Yeah. It just depends.
Yeah,
on
because
what
the
agreement
school
says.
districts and everybody else has gotten theirs before it gets to us.
That's right.
That's ours.
So. Guys, if y'all got nothing else, week break, let's get back together November the 4th. I guess we can decide then if we want to go back to the admin building or come here. We came here so we'll know where to go
The
tomorrow
acoustics
night.
in here are not good for me. I'm having a hard time hearing.
Let's plan on going back to the annex building.
It would be better for me hearing
That's
if we
fine.
could.
We'll go back to the annex building November the 4th. Tomorrow night, we're not in here. We're over at the courtroom. Yeah, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, Alan. Tomorrow night, around in the front door, you'll see all the cars. We need you. Come, make sure you come. Guys, if nothing else, we're going to call adjournment. I appreciate you.